So in this episode, I'm going to show you a unique and subtle approach to humanizing our drum programming skills. Because one of my pet peeves is having to listen to mechanical, static hi-hats. So I'm hoping to bring some life to your drums today by introducing a concept I refer to as dynamic machine gunning. Now you may ask, what is dynamic machine gunning? Well, just watch the video. My name's Dom, welcome to Tech Talk. So this tutorial leans more towards an intermediate or advanced beginner level of difficulty. If you want to follow along at home, all you need to do is pick a pre-made kit, or if you've got one of your own custom-made kits, even better. I'm just going to pick my old faithful 909 core kit and drag that into track 1. So when we are programming drums, if you repeat a sample at the same velocity and the same volume within a short period of time, that's what we refer to as machine gunning, because it kind of sounds like a machine gun. The best way to give you an example is to show you. If I select the pen tool and just draw a line across the snares here and press play. As you can hear, it serves its basic rhythmic requirements of populating a 16-note pattern. However, it sounds mechanical, kind of plastic, and a bit lifeless. Now, you only tend to hear snares machine gunning in build-ups and fills. So let's hear what this sounds like with a closed hi-hat. Let's put this in the context of a beat as well. Let's boost this to 128. So again, it fulfills its metronomic purposes, but it's still lifeless. And my personal opinion, it's a bit tacky and cheap. And it is just one sample being re-triggered over and over again. It kind of numbs the ear a little bit. Now, machine gunning can be used as an aesthetic choice. For example, the kick sequence in Blue Monday. It's iconic. It's such a great example of machine gunning on a kick. Trap music, hi-hats again. Those 32-note increments that they use kind of gives that aggressive mechanical sound. So it can be used as an aesthetic choice. If you're a drummer, or if you've ever played real drums before, then you'll know every time you hit a hi-hat or a snare, it's never the same sound. The length, the brightness, and the force behind each hit is going to change dramatically. It's those dynamic attributes that make real drums so vibrant and captivating to listen to. So how can we incorporate those dynamics and that unpredictability into synthetic drums? So let's focus on the hi-hat. If we click on the hi-hat closed, we have our simpler with our hi-hat sample already built in. So I'm just going to alt-drag that into a new MIDI track just to copy it across. And I'm just going to create a new clip with an instance of C3, which is our default pitch for a sample. And that's our hi-hat. So let me say this kind of slowly. I'm going to take this single sample, I'm going to manipulate the sound in multiple different ways. And for each manipulation, I'm going to save my result by resampling the output as a new audio clip each time. And to do this, I'm going to use this audio track, and I'm going to take the output from this hi-hat and record in. So I'm going to go for audio from. I'm going to select the output of the channel of my hi-hat, which is hi-hat closed. So to summarize, because I appreciate that's a lot of information, I'm going to use this audio track to capture all the different manipulations to this hi-hat I'm going to record in each of these cells. And if that still doesn't make sense, don't worry, because I'm literally about to do it anyway. So first I'm just going to rename this hat. I'm just going to clip record the hi-hat now. There we go. We now have a audio recording of our hi-hat there. It's the exact same sound. Let's go in and look at the ADSR. So the attack on 0, decay on 1, sustain at full, and release at 41.1. So remember, the goal here is to humanize a mechanical sounding machine gunning hi-hat sequence. That's a lot of words. So the best way to do that is to look at each individual hit and how each one is delivered, because it's going to be unpredictable and it's going to be slightly different. So the best way we can do that is look at how it's delivered and the obviously it's going to be the envelope. So the attack is quite articulate, it's quite sharp, it's quite cutting. Let's take away some of the sharpness by removing some of the transient energy. So let's take away 10 milliseconds. Not enough, try 15. Getting there. Try 20. 20 could be good. Just reset, hear the difference. Yeah, big difference. I'll stick with 15. Keep it subtle. So I'm just going to click record. Going to bag it. Boom. And this is our second hi-hat. Let's go back in. Let's look at the attack again. Let's do 25. Oh, too much. Gonna click record, bag it. Boom. So let's look at the decay now. Let's bring the sustain down. Let's bring in. We're just going to focus on that initial transient. Very, very sharp. Start with 80. Recorded it, we've bagged it. Boom. Let's try 150. Record it. We've bagged it. Boom. Let's try 250. Record it. Bag it. Boom. So if I bring the sustain back up, bring some decay back up, focus around there, get some of that kind of brighter energy, bring it down a bit on the sustain, somewhere in the middle. Again, we're really aiming for subtlety here. That should be fine. We're going to record that, we're going to bag it, and we're going to boom it. So for the last one, let's just reset as it was, and I'm just going to look at the filter. I'm just going to take a tiny, tiny portion off that frequency. So let's just hear that again. I just want to take some of the brightness out. That could be plenty. A little bit more. A little bit more. Maybe too much. That is plenty, yeah. Cool, record it, bag it. Boom, my new catchphrase. So I might do one more. Create a new insert scene. This time I'm just going to look at the pitch envelope, turn that off. We're going to go to pitch. We're going to go to pitch envelope, turn it on. Let's turn the amount up to 12. I'm just going to reduce the decay. Let's just start from 30. Just going to boost a little bit more out. If we go to 150. I'll go 125. Record it, bag it, boom. So we now have 9 samples in total. So now I'm going to have to create a new instrument. So new MIDI track. And we're going to go to instruments and sampler. So quick recap. We took one hi-hat sample and we multiplicated it 8 times to get 9 versions of the same hi-hat. And this is our content that we are going to use for the next stage. So in sampler, we have zone, and this zone kind of section is where we can layer and create multi-sample instruments. So if I just close that, I'm just going to drag all our 9 samples into sampler, into this zone section. So because we've done a load of tweaking and we haven't done any gain staging, all the volumes of these samples are going to be all over the place. So before I do anything, I'm just going to right click on all of these, normalize volumes, and that will sort out that problem. And then we're going to go to velocity. And this is normally where we can manually assign each sample to a specific velocity range. But I'm just going to distribute ranges equally. As you can see, first sample is on the low end of the velocity range. Our last sample is at the upper, and all the ones in between fill out. So I'm going to create a new clip, and I'm just going to create instances of C3. So if you consider yourself a perfectionist, then you can manually assign each of these hi-hat notes its own velocity range and create a pattern that way. For example, just click, drag down or up, and we will get a new kind of dynamic hi-hat pattern. If I just machine gun it and just randomize this squiggle line at the bottom, we should hear all the different samples we've created. So each velocity range is triggering its own sample. And if we look in the zone section, we can see the velocity being played live, and we can see which one it correlates to. So that's all well and good. If you're more like me and you welcome the concepts of controlled chaos and unpredictability into your songs, I have one more trick for you. I'm just going to machine gun that across. I'm just going to pick a neutral middle ground for this velocity range. Let's set that to around 64. And we're going to take a trip back to MIDI effects. And if you watched episode 2, you may remember I mentioned how the MIDI effects really kind of allow us to micromanage our creative output, and we can offload some of the boring groundwork onto Ableton to do it for us. But today, I'm only going to have a quick peek at velocity, and I'm just going to drag that onto our new hi-hat channel. Try that again. There you go. Now I'm just going to turn up the random to full. So what happens here is that the velocity MIDI effect analyzes any incoming velocity information, and it will re-trigger that velocity note and randomly assign it to a different velocity. So it's effectively re-velocitizing. I know it's not a word, but you know. So let's hear what this sounds like in effect. So just a quick recap. We're machine gunning at the same velocity, and this velocity trigger is randomly spewing out and picking, and we can see right at the top which ones it's picking. So let's listen to this in context. Before I do that, I'm going to have to group the velocity and our new hi-hat instrument, Command and G, and this, we can now save this as our own unique homemade hi-hat humanizer. There you go. So I'm going to click on this save icon, and let's call it Dynamic Hats. And then I'm just going to drag this into... Now I'm going to drag it next to our original hi-hat so we can hear the difference. So let's hear what these new hi-hats sound like in the context of a beat. And it's very subtle. It needs to be very subtle for this to work. Straight away we've got this new kind of dynamic nuance to the style, the way it's being played. Almost like there's a new bit of bounce to this. If we go back to our original hi-hats, see, I can't go back to that because it just feels too plastic and too mechanical and lifeless. Let's go back. It kind of, again, it's very subtle, but it's humanized it a little bit. And it's also given it a bit of life and a bit more personality, a bit of character to our hi-hats. So we could go weirder. We could go really far-fetched with this. However, I'm just trying to keep it very subtle for today. I'm trying to keep it natural and semi-organic. So all I really did was apply some minor adjustments to the envelope. You could actually have 127 different samples across the velocity ranges, all randomizing at different intervals. You could apply different effects, not just the envelope. You could have EQ, you could have resonant peaks in different sections of the sample, resampled. You could add different effects, chorus, bit crush. You can even time stretch the samples. So So there's no real end to the possibilities. Just know that the further away from the original sample you go, the least realistic the result will be, the more far-fetched and left field it might be, which could be a good thing. But today, like I say, I'm just trying to focus on natural. So that's it for today. As always, make sure you are subscribed, make sure you keep your eye on the Tech Talk playlist, and make sure you keep your eye out for more content from myself, Christopher and Jonathan, and I'll see you in a bit. Ta-ra.